Pimp My Ride came about. I was getting my cars done at West Coast Customs, just like, Shaq was getting them. A bunch of people
And this is my ride.
working with this one garage. My man Ryan, who owns the place.
Imagine this for a second. You're cruising down the highway in your brand new dream car, the one that got turned from a total wreck into something straight out of a music video, with flashing lights, booming sounds, and gadgets everywhere. Life feels perfect. Then, out of nowhere, smoke starts pouring out from under the hood. The music cuts off. Flames shoot up, and before you can even pull over safely, your whole ride is on fire, gone forever. That really happened to one guy just 5 years after the TV cameras stopped rolling. And get this, another person's steering wheel came completely loose while they were driving. It could have ended so much worse. The people behind the show knew these cars weren't always safe, but they filmed the big happy reveals anyway. Then, they made everyone sign papers promising to keep quiet about the problems. For years, no one talked. But now, the truth is coming out, and it's way darker than any of us ever imagined. Today, we're diving deep into what really went on behind the scenes of Pimp My Ride, and why the crew had to hide so much from us. Back in the early 2000s, MTV was changing. They weren't just playing music videos anymore because not as many people were watching those. Reality shows were the hot new thing. They were cheap to make and got tons of viewers excited. So in 2004, they started Pimp My Ride. It seemed like the perfect feel-good show. Take a young person's beat-up old car, fix it up with crazy cool stuff, and make their dreams come true. Each episode only cost about $15,000 to $20,000 to make the car look amazing. That was nothing compared to paying for big music stars or fancy scripted shows. The idea was to hook kids and young adults who were broke and driving junkers. They'd see someone just like them get a total makeover for their ride, and it felt inspiring. The show exploded right away. Millions tuned in every week to watch the transformations. The star of it all was the rapper Xzibit. He didn't know much about fixing cars at all. He even said himself that he just picked up the cars and dropped them off. He wasn't turning wrenches or anything. But he had that cool energy, that hip-hop vibe that made everything feel real and fun. MTV loved that. His famous line, something about putting stuff in your stuff so you can do things while you do things, became a huge joke online. It turned into one of the biggest memes ever. But behind his smiles and jokes, a lot was fake. The real work happened at a shop called West Coast Customs in California. They had to say yes to whatever wild ideas MTV came up with, no matter how rushed or cheap. Timelines were super tight, money was limited, but the cars had to look insane on camera, so they cut corners wherever they could. Sometimes exhaust pipes were just stuck on for looks and didn't even work right. Engines might make loud fake noises with tricks instead of real power. Safety? That wasn't always the top worry. One car had its muffler taken off and never put back. Another got pipes that shot flames, but those would never pass a real safety check. One person who got their car done called it a shiny piece of junk because it looked awesome but barely ran. The guy helping run things, a producer named Larry Hochberg, even had tow trucks waiting nearby all the time. Why? Because so many cars broke, down right after filming or even during the big reveal. They couldn't always drive away on their own. But on TV, it all looked smooth and perfect. The people picked for the show were usually young and really needing help. Like one girl who was 19 and taking care of her elderly grandma. Her old Honda was falling apart, doors wouldn't open right. Alarm went off nonstop and she was rolling on a spare tire. Stories like that made you cheer. Producers looked for the most desperate cases at poor neighborhoods or community colleges. They put up flyers where old, crappy cars were common. But once they took your car, it was gone for 6 or 7 months, not the quick week it seemed on TV. MTV gave everyone about $2,000 for a rental car in the meantime. Sounds okay, right? But a lot of them were too young to rent from normal places. Some had to use shady little companies with cars that barely worked. One guy didn't get his money back for 2 whole years. Others paid out of their own pockets just to get around while waiting. And the fixes? They didn't always solve the big problems. If your engine was shot or the transmission was bad, they might leave it alone and just add shiny paint, big rims, or wild extras like TVs, or even a cotton candy machine. One car got a fake noisy tailpipe to sound tough, but nothing real under the hood. They wanted the wow factor for the camera, not a car that would last forever. Everything was staged to look more dramatic. They had rules like you had to be 22 or younger, but if someone was older, they just lied about their age on the show. One woman was 25, but got called a 22-year-old student. They even rented fake houses for the surprise visits when Xzibit knocked on the door. Real homes might not look good on camera or have space for all the trucks and lights. So contestants waited inside a rented place, and sometimes they didn't even know if Xzibit was coming or just a regular crew member with a gift card. The big shocked faces? Those were redone 5, 10, even more times until the screaming and jumping was crazy enough. One guy named Jake remembered not jumping around enough when he first saw his car. He just said it looked good, calm and real. But a huge crew member pulled him aside, put an arm around him, and walked him around for minutes, saying they worked so hard and needed more excitement. It felt scary, like he had no choice but to fake it bigger. Another person had to redo their happy dance over and over until it was wild enough. Producers would stand there pushing for more energy, more tears, more everything. They didn't just fake the cars and reactions, they messed with people's real lives too. Producers dug into your stories for anything juicy or sad to make better TV. Weird habits, family troubles, breakups, anything. One guy's grandma got shown as a chain smoker who trashed the car with butts everywhere, even though she didn't smoke. They threw in extra cigarettes just for the shot. For Seth, a bigger guy who loved candy a little, they dumped bags of wrappers all over his old car and added a cotton candy machine in the trunk to poke fun at his weight. He said it felt mean, like they picked that just to embarrass him. And get this, one producer told Jake to break up with his girlfriend because a lonely guy needing a cool car to get girls made a better story. Jake said no way, but it shows how far they went to twist things. The contracts were tough too. Everyone signed papers giving MTV total control. They could edit you however they wanted, make you look good or bad. And there were rules saying you couldn't say negative stuff about the show, or you'd get in big legal trouble. Most of these young people couldn't afford lawyers to fight back, so they stayed quiet even when things went wrong later. The cars looked unbelievable on reveal day. Gullwing doors that opened up like bird wings. Robots moving around, fish tanks in the trunk, hot tubs, chandeliers, you name it. But a lot was only for the show. Right after cameras stopped, they took stuff out. One car had a pop-up champagne holder and a whole drive-in movie setup in the back. Gone the next day because it wasn't safe or legal on real roads. Producers admitted they put wild things in just for the wow, knowing they'd swap for something boring later or remove it. Robotic arms that waved on TV, controlled by a guy off-screen with a laptop, wires everywhere. Totally useless after. Screens and lights stopped working days later because the wiring was rushed and cheap. The extra weight from all that stuff made it driving scary. No upgrades to brakes or suspension on old cars. One felt like a wobbly boat hitting bumps, scraping tires inside. Lights got burning hot, risking fires if left on. Fuses blew all the time. Old wiring couldn't handle the load of big sounds and gadgets. Technicians hurried so much, cables got tangled, everything overloaded. What looked like dream rides turned into dangerous traps. Justin from season 6 had a Toyota RAV4. On TV, it had that champagne pop-up and movie thing. Both removed right after. They even damaged his bumper more before filming to make the before look worse. 5 months without his car, scraping by on rentals. Then 5 years later, he's driving with his girlfriend, sounds cut out, smoke everywhere, flames take over. The whole car burned up on the side of the road. He blamed the bad wiring from the show's extras. He'd spent $20,000 of his own money fixing other stuff over time, but that fire ended it. Seth from the same season had a Nissan Maxima. 7 months gone. They added gullwing doors, lights everywhere, that cotton candy machine with no lid so sugar sprayed inside when used once. Robotic arm fake. Engine ignored. 1 month later it died completely. He paid $1,700 for a new one. Called it a pretty turd, shiny but worthless. Drove slow because it sagged and felt unsafe. Jake's Buick had no real fixes either. Sold it quick because problems kept coming. The new owner said it broke down right away. Xzibit himself told stories that make you shiver. One time, a freshly done car was driving and the steering wheel came right off in the person's hands. Pure luck it didn't happen fast on a highway. Cars weren't finished when they filmed the happy drives. Some went back to the shop for weeks after to even be drivable. Producers knew all this. Larry said old cars have issues anyway, and they did fix some. But he admitted having tow trucks ready because breakdowns happened so much. He said he'd rush out to help when owners called crying. But why put people in danger for TV in the first place? The show made MTV rich. 6 seasons, games, toys, international versions everywhere like UK, Brazil, even more places. Memes kept it alive forever online. But the people on it got nothing extra. No pay for being stars, no share of the money. Some got huge tax bills because the upgrades counted as big gifts from the government. Had to sell cars just to pay. Xzibit got $5,000 per episode, not much for what it did to him. Later, DVDs cut his name and music to avoid paying more. He asked for merch money promised, never got it. For Xzibit, the show hurt bad. He couldn't tour or make albums like before because filming took half a year per season. His rap career slowed. People saw him as the funny TV guy, not a serious artist. Soccer moms knew him from the street, not hip-hop fans from concerts. He said it became bigger than his music, and at first it stung. He distanced himself, saying he just hosted, didn't build the cars. When wild stories came out, like chandeliers and rides, he laughed and said he didn't tell them to do that. He wanted real fixes like better engines and paint, but producers wanted crazy foreviews. Years later, contestants spoke up in interviews and online. They had good memories of the fun and meeting Xzibit, who was always nice and funny, but the lies and dangers left scars, cars that could catch fire or fall apart, lives twisted for drama, months without wheels paying their own way, humiliated on national TV, all for a quick shine that faded fast. Pimp My Ride made us believe in magic makeovers and happy endings. But the real story is about rushing for ratings, cutting corners on safety and silencing people with contracts. It shows how reality TV can take real struggles and turn them into entertainment, even if it hurts the people involved. Those young owners just wanted a reliable ride. Instead, they got flashy traps and had to hide the truth for years. Hearing all this changes how you see those old episodes, doesn't it? It's sad thinking about the risks they took without knowing, the breakdowns, the fires, the pressure to fake joy. But it's also brave that they finally shared. If this opened your eyes or brought back memories, hit that like button to let me know. Share it with your friends who grew up watching too. They need to hear the real story. And subscribe for more deep dives into the secrets behind your favorite old shows. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.